So before we get into the sermon that Pastor Adonia is going to be sharing with us, we have a short music video that we'd like to share with all of you. And if you know the song, feel free to sing along. Feel free to just, close your eyes and reflect on the meaning of the song, and just to prepare our hearts and our minds for the service that Pastor Adonia will be giving.
Sometimes I think, what will people say of me when I'm only just a memory, when I'm home where my soul belongs? Was I loved when no one else would show up? Was I Jesus to the least of us? Was my worship more than just a song? I wanna live like that and give it all I have, so that everything I say and do points to you. If love is who I am, then this is where I stand, recklessly abandoned, never holding back. I wanna live like that. I wanna live like that. Am I proof that you are who you say you are? That grace can really change a heart? Do I live like your love is true? People pass, and even if they don't know my name, is there evidence that I've been changed? When they see me, do they see you? I wanna live like that and give it all I have, so that everything I say and do points to you. If love is who I am, then this is where I stand, recklessly abandoned, never holding back. I wanna live like that. I wanna live like that. I wanna show the world the love you gave for me. I wanna live like I'm longing for the world to know the glory of the King. I wanna live like that and give it all I have, so that everything I say and do points to you. If love is who I am, then this is where I stand, recklessly abandoned, never holding back. I wanna live like that. I wanna live like that. I wanna live like
Good morning, everyone. So great to see all of you today. I'm so happy that you could make the time to come. Whether it's your 1000th time here, your first time here, we're just so happy to have you. My name is Pastor Adonia, and my husband Mike and I pastor this Colorado Family Church together. And Sunday really feels like I'm coming home to my family. So just happy to see you. I put this title on my sermon, How Am I Living My Life? Although I really couldn't decide what to title it. I almost titled it Rules of Engagement. And then I almost titled it How Do I Engage in My Life? But anyway, you'll figure it out as I'm going through. You'll know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, this week I had a hard time coming up with a Sunday service. I found myself at a point where I was, every day that passed by and I didn't have a topic, I was like dreading Sunday coming. Isn't that awful when the pastor is dreading Sunday? Anyway, have you ever been in that place where you find yourself not wanting to do something, and so you kind of pretend that it's not coming, and you just kind of continue your life, but then all of a sudden it comes anyway, and you have to do it anyway. It doesn't just disappear. So I realized I was kind of going down this road, and I could see this coming. Like, well, if I could just kind of do the things that I'm doing with the kids or whatever, but Sunday's coming, and I'm not ready. And when I faced that, I felt this kind of like dread in my stomach. So I really had to stop. I really had to just say, okay, what's going on here? Why am I not thrilled about Sunday service coming up? And but once I started actually thinking about this moment, when I'm standing up here and I'm seeing all of your faces, I'm thinking about all the families in the community, and I'm thinking about how God wants to be in this room with us and wants to be in our lives, and that maybe, just maybe, I have an opportunity for God to speak through me and touch somebody today. Oh my gosh, everything changed. My whole perspective, my whole experience around the idea of Sunday service changed. And so I'm so happy to be here today. Yeah. But I realized it's a matter of engagement. Once I was engaged with all of you, and once I was engaged with the thought of God being here, with us and with me, then it created a whole different experience. And even though it was just in my mind, even though it was just a switch in my mindset, it was like I was engaged with my heart and my mind, and totally created where I'm at right now. So I realized that how engaged you are with something really determines your experience of it. When you invest wholeheartedly into something, you'll have a different experience of it than if you do it half-heartedly. For some of you who are into sports, I'm sure you had the experience where you just determined that you're going to give your all in this game. And it doesn't even matter, if you win or lose, but you're going to know that you played your very best. After you look back, don't you remember the plays that you made? You remember how that toss came and how you caught it like that, if it was a frisbee or football, or or you kicked it and it just went in, or maybe it just didn't, but you were so engaged with it that it's like you were there for 100% of that game, and you know exactly what happened. But I think we've also had experiences in our lives where things have happened, whether it's a game, or maybe you went to a movie, or maybe it was a dinner with friends, or maybe it was Sunday service. And it happened, Sunday service happened, but afterwards you're kind of left being like, yeah, I saw some people today, and I ate some food. I don't really remember so much about what happened after that, but yeah, it was good, because maybe you weren't all there in your heart, or maybe you weren't all there in your actions. As soon as I thought of this, I just kept up thinking of innumerable quotes from our two parents, Reverend and Mrs. Moon, about Father's life and how he treated his life. I remember hearing a story about how he came to America, and there was a ping pong tournament going on or something, and he'd never even played ping pong, but he was like, I'm going to learn this sport and I'm going to master it. And so over the course of a couple of weeks, that's all he did. He just played until he beat everybody and nobody could beat him. Like, that's 100% engagement. And I'm sure many of you have heard this quote of how to God or to Father, 1,000 years can be like a day, or a day can be like 1,000 years. And I really believe that God and our true parents try to squeeze 1,000 years of work into one day so we can quickly become the people we need to be. We can quickly create the world of peace that God wants to see. But you can't squeeze 1,000 years in a day by doing it half-heartedly, right? That's just not going to happen. You'll get like a half a day's work done in a day. So I have a couple of quotes. This one is from Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with your whole being, for the Lord and not for men. I like this. Whatever you do. I think sometimes we have an idea of, well, this is important, so I should focus on this. Or like, well, I'm coming to church today, so I'm gonna be really good today, and I'm gonna focus on church. But my kids playing around in the morning, well, they just do that every morning. I don't really need to engage with them. Or maybe there's this project coming up at work, but it's not really going to impact my pay, so I don't have to really engage with it 100%. But I like this. Whatever you do, whatever is in front of you at the moment, work at it with your whole being. And do it as if you're doing it for God. Even if it's for your boss. Do it as if you're doing it for God. So there's actually a principle at work here that really determines our experience of things. It's a universal principle, and in our faith, we have given it the name of give and take action. I have a quote. This is from the Exposition of the Divine Principle, and it just describes what is the mechanics of give and take action, and I'm going to go into a little bit more. In the created universe, the dual characteristics that make up each being are empowered by a universal prime energy, where we could call it God's life force, to establish a common base. They then engage in give and take action. Based on the forces generated by this give and take action, the dual characteristics construct a foundation for their continued reciprocation. This becomes the foundation for existence of each individual being, upon which the being becomes an object partner to God and is able to generate all the forces necessary for its continued existence. There's a lot of big words in that, and it's a bit conceptual. But actually it goes on to give some very concrete examples. Like how in our body, there's actually give and take happening within our body. Every breath we take in, and then we breathe out, and we take in, and we breathe out. And our heartbeat, it sends the blood away, and then it pulls it back, and it sends it away, and it pulls it back, and it carries the oxygen to our body. And in our family relationships, if there was no give and take between you and your husband, then would there be a relationship? There wouldn't be a relationship. It's the this relationship of giving and receiving and in and out that becomes the foundation for our very existence. So then I took this idea a little bit further, and I realized that this goes for our relationship with our experiences as well. If we go through experiences in our life and we don't really engage with them, it's almost like they never happened in our experience of them. That it may have happened, and maybe somebody else was had the same experience, and maybe it meant something to them. But if we don't get our hearts into it, and if we aren't participating wholeheartedly, in our experience, it's almost like it never happened. I actually remembered So my kids go to a Montessori school. I'm so grateful that in Colorado there's a lot of options and there's a public charter Montessori school. And I really wanted to send them to a Montessori school because I went to one when I was in kindergarten. And you might think, well, that's, you were 5 years old. You didn't even learn to read yet. Like, what kind of a difference does that make to you? And how could it make such a big impact that I'm determined to send my kids to a Montessori school? Well, I'll tell you what happened. When I was in the Montessori school program, it's based on the development of a child, but one thing that's really awesome about it is that there's different stations in the room, okay? So there's like a geography station with maps, and then there's a math station with beads and counting, and then there's a science station, and you can label the parts of the animals, and there's a history there's like different aspects of school, and they're all situated around the room with all these different activities and works that you can do associated with this subject. And there's a certain time period during the day when in Montessori school, the child gets to pick what work they want to do. And then they engage with that, and they, whether it's math, maybe they count to 100, maybe they start doing multiplication, or maybe they start doing division. They go as far as they can with it at their level. But what's really awesome about that, what Montessori really gets, is that when a child is interested in something, then they will absorb everything about it. Whereas in a traditional school, it's time to study math, so everybody studies math. But maybe this child is still thinking about that science project that they're working on, And if they could study that science project, then they would just suck it all in and they'd retain it. So that was my experience in kindergarten. Was I have very vivid, clear memories of how I learned to tie my shoe, and I remember the names of the 3D shapes, like the cone and the rectangular prism and the sphere. I learned that word as a 5-year-old. And, and I have all these really specific memories of what I learned in kindergarten. Now, I can still remember learning it. I went to a public school in first grade, and you know what I remember from first grade? Absolutely nothing. I don't remember learning anything. I'm sure I did, but I have some memories of extracurricular things that happened, or I got upset at this boy one time. I have that kind of memory, but I don't remember anything about what I actually learned, because it was a different type of engagement that I had with the curriculum. I don't remember anything from first grade. So maybe you have that experience. How many times have somebody been like, "Hey, how's your week been?" And you're like, I don't even remember what happened yesterday, actually. So I'm sure it was good, though. Yeah, it's been a good week. I do that. But how engaged are we in our life? I think our first step is it's just like AA. You've got to acknowledge it first, right? You have to recognize, you have to stop the denial that there is an issue. The first step is to acknowledge that there is a lack of engagement and recognize the areas in your life that you might actually be avoiding or not participating fully in. So what is it for you? Is it your work? Car repairs? I attended a Millionaire Mind seminar this last weekend, and I realized that I am the money type of person that I am is I'm a money avoider. I don't like to have anything to do with money. I know it's there, it comes and it goes, but I let Mike manage our money. He does a great job, so I don't have to worry about it, right? Because he's doing it. A money avoider, they get their receipts from the grocery store and they don't even look at it. I just stick it in my wallet. The only reason I keep it is because Mike wants it, I can see this in anything that has to do with money. It's just an area of confusion, and if I have to deal with it, then I become very confused. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know, bank account numbers and check transfers. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm a money avoider. That's an area of my life where I am not fully participating in, and I don't have much recollection of memories around. But you know what? But I'm sure there's something for you. And I think it's important to look at what that might be. And there are some things that we're just not going to remember. Our brain has a filter for a reason, I don't remember all the makes and models of all the cars that I pass if I'm going down the highway, I don't count them. I don't know exactly how many sunflowers are in my garden, I don't pay attention to how many ants get in my door. Our brain has a filter, because there's always stuff happening, and our brain, according to our priorities, will filter out the rest. If you really are a car person, then maybe you do notice all the makes and models of the cars as you go down the highway. I think there are some people who do that. But here's the thing, it's based on our priorities. It's based on what we are focused on that our brain focuses on and filters out the rest. So what are your priorities? I have a little exercise for you. So let's just, you can just do it in your head. You don't have to share with anybody. But, make a list of what's most important to you. What do you consider your priorities in your life? Maybe just come up with 3. Okay? Come up with 3 priorities in your life. You might think of things like family, work, my faith, my hobbies. Everybody got 3? Okay. Okay, now think back on the last month or so. What memories do you have of the last month? What sticks out to you? Do you remember, a meal you had with a friend? Do you remember something you did with your children? Do you remember a really great prayer you had? And especially what areas of your life keep popping up, like you have multiple memories of? What are those areas that show up and that you're really aware of over the last month? Is it stress around money? Maybe pick 1 or 2 or 3 of those memories. What really is like, oh, that's what happened last month, What is that? What priority is that associated with? So what you spend your time on and what you remember, these are your actual priorities. And some of them maybe they all match up perfectly. That'd be fantastic. And maybe some of them do. Maybe you said, oh, family's a priority, and maybe most of your memories from past month are with family. But I'm guessing, I know with myself, that maybe something that you thought was a priority or that you tell yourself is a priority doesn't actually show up on your radar if you look back over the last month. And then I have another question. Where is God on that list? I know that in my head, I've got God at the top of my priorities list. I'm like, faith, family, and hobbies. But I have to acknowledge that actually, in where I spend my time and where I spend my energy, God isn't always at the top of my priority list. It isn't always what I'm thinking about. So if we want our priorities to actually match what we told ourselves our priorities are, then we need to make a concerted effort to engage with those areas of our life. I have another really great quote here. This is from Reverend Moon. How could you say that Jesus loved God more because he lived for a shorter period than other men. It is decided by the concentration of love, the degree of love that determines it. If he loved God 3 times as much as other men, then God's love would come on this man. During daily life, if this man thought of God 3 or 4 times, and the other one thought of God just 1 time, then this man would be thinking of God 3 times more. And then God's love would come on this man. The other man just thought that he would like to see God. But Jesus wanted to see God, weeping, crying. And the other man slept as he wanted, ate as he wanted, and lived a regular life. But this man, Jesus, didn't live that way. He sacrificed all his eating and sleeping and working. That makes the difference. So as it says here, it's the concentration of your love or the concentration of your effort that determines what your experience, like how much did Jesus experience God's love? So much. That was Jesus' reality, right? Wasn't God's love there for the other people of the time? Isn't God's love abundant and there for everybody who is there to receive it? But our experience of that love is determined by the effort that we put into it, the engagement that we have with it, right? I thought that was a really great quote. This is another one. This is from Mark 12:30. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. I really love that this is like, it's not, sometimes we think of it, engaging. Sometimes I tell myself I'm engaging with my kids when I acknowledge that they're talking to me. So right now my kids are really into Harry Potter. My boys discovered Harry Potter this week, and they read the whole first book in less than 3 days. And they're talking to me about spells, and they're talking to me about Harry Potter stuff. And I know that if they're talking, and I just go, awesome. If I just do that, actually, like, they're pretty satisfied. But I'm not really like engaged, I'm not in their world. I'm not as excited about it as they are, although that would probably create a different kind of experience for me, But I like that. So sometimes I think of engagement as just participating in some way. Or I think sometimes we think of, okay, I'm reading my God's words every morning, so I'm a spiritual person. I read my Bible, I read my divine principles. So God, I know God loves me and I love God, and I'm good, right? But this says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind and all your strength, right? It's like active participation, engagement, not just with our physical body, but with our intentions. Actually, I was looking for a quote like this. I knew there was something about love the Lord your God with all your soul. And I looked it up online, and there's about 50 different quotes that came up from the Bible, almost exactly like this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, So engagement isn't just with our body or going through the motions. I know I've had experiences where I've read God's words every morning and I still didn't remember any of it. But it takes your body. It takes an investment of energy, your heart, your mental engagement. You need to get your spirit body involved. This is what I came down to. We are physical beings and we're spiritual beings. Some people like to say we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? But I think a lot of times we just kind of focus on what we're doing physically. And we're not so concerned on if our spirit body is doing the same thing that our physical body is doing. But I believe that if our spirit body is also engaged, if we're fully participating, especially in these priorities that we've listed for ourselves, then our experience will last. And this is what I really got. That experience will be real for you even when you go to the spirit world. Right? If we're doing things on the earth with our physical bodies, but we're not engaging our spiritual side, our heart, our soul, our love, then does that still exist, actually, when all we have left is our spiritual body? It hit me like a lightning bolt, like whatever we take with us to spirit world, we have to experience with our spiritual body, or it won't remember it when we get there. So this kind of reminded me when I was on my mission program after high school. I was called a special task force at the time. And I had a leader. Some of you have met Akira-san. And he was always saying like, oh, today is so important. You need to invest everything today because of this or that. Or, I could really get into it if it was like a special day, like the day of all things, or it was God's day, or if it was my birthday, or or maybe True Parents were doing a speaking tour, and so we want to make good conditions. But it was, for him, it was like every day. It was like, oh, today is so important. We really need to invest everything today. Do it with your whole heart today. Don't leave anything behind. And after a while, I was kind of like, you say this every day. So does it make it more important, or does it make all the days not as or does it lessen the value of all the days? What I realized is that actually every day is so important, because that's all we have. We don't have yesterday, and we don't actually have tomorrow either. All we have is now, and this is our experience of life. This is my experience of life right now. I have memories of the past, and I have a vision of what might happen in the future, but my life right now is right here with you. That's it. So are we going to wait for something important to come along to engage ourselves with? Or are we going to engage with what we have right now, with a person right in front of me, with my child, with my work, with God? So just to kind of wrap up, I was thinking it's kind of funny that sometimes by avoiding something, we think that we're also saving ourselves trouble. We're saving ourselves stress, or letting somebody else deal with it. But actually, we have to face it later. And sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't know if this is worth my energy and my investment. Maybe I don't know if this is worth it, because it takes energy, right? It takes a mental focus. You have to do something with your body. You have to do something with your heart. That's not always easy to get into. But actually, once we fully engage in our life and the experience that I'm having right now, then actually you only just find more energy and inspiration around it, don't we? Once we decide that we're going to do it, and we're not gonna worry about how I'm gonna feel at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do it, then it changes our whole experience of life, actually. And it can actually become a treasured memory for you. It's funny the things we remember as a child. Some of our treasured memories, I told my mom some of my treasured memories as a child. She doesn't remember those. Because, she was living her life and she was having her own treasured memories. But, something that may look insignificant to somebody else, but it can mean the whole world to you if you invest your heart, if you engage with it. And then this is what we actually take with us. That's all we really take. So, thank you so much for your time and your attention today. I'm so grateful to have been here. I'm going to finish up with a prayer. So please join me in prayer. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, Good morning. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for our lives, that each one of us is able and willing to be here today. God, I pray for your love and your blessings and your presence with each one of us here. Actually, I know it's already here. I just pray that we can receive it, Heavenly Parent. I pray that we can begin to open up more doors in our life to let you in, Heavenly Parent. Some of us are so aware of your love and our blessings in our life, and some of us know it's there, but we don't feel it. We don't know how to reach it. We don't know how to experience it. Maybe that's what some of us are looking for today, Heavenly Parent. But I just pray that we can recognize that it's there. All we need to do is start that give and take relationship with you. All we need to do is open that door, use our intention, use our mind, use our heart, use our soul, use our actions to reach out to you. And we know that your love is going to come flooding back in. Heavenly Parent, each person here is an incredible force in this world, Heavenly Parent. Each person here has incredible potential and is doing great things in their life. And I just pray that with practice and as we go forward in our lives, that we can only build up like a tsunami wave that just floods out into our community and our neighborhood and into this world, a flood of love and a flood of goodness and a flood of peace and a flood of friendship, and tearing down walls and barriers and misconceptions that so many people struggle with in this world. Heavenly Parent, we love you. Thank you for being with us this morning. We invite you into our life. We're committing our hearts and our souls to you. And I just want to offer this time and this prayer in my name, Michael and Adonia Hendrick of the Blessed Central Family. Amen and adieu. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Adonia. Let's give her a round of applause. I thought that was a really great message. Thank you. Made me think about a lot of things. I also came to recognize certain areas in which I think I'm engaged. Kids is a really good example. Kids are talking to me. I'm like, yeah. Well, I have no idea what they're talking about. So that's something I think I'm going to work on. So with that said, I'd like to just share a few local announcements before we get into our sermon. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been here many times or many years, we are doing a fresh new presentation. Everyone who's come has just had really great things to say about it. This is called the Who Are We? A Brief Intro. And basically for about 20 minutes, I'm going to share a little bit about the history of our church. You may notice that we do things a little bit differently. The way we pray, the songs we sing, things like that are a little bit different than what you might find at, let's say, another Christian church or something like that. So we'd love to have the opportunity to just share a little bit about why we do things a certain way, and just give a little bit of history, and also about the vision for our church going forward too. And that's what's really appealing about this presentation even for our longtime members, because sometimes we need to be reminded, why are we going? What are we trying to accomplish? It's not just, is it just about coming and sitting in church once a week, or is there something bigger behind that? So it's really awesome. I give it personally, at least for now, and that'll be at 12:15, and it's in the room right here next to the cafe, the French ministry room. Also today, Jazz, where's Jazz at? Oh, okay, he's downstairs. Jazz is relaunching, he's doing a pre-launch of his Ideals of Love program. And this will actually be not at 1, but at 12:45. So if you can come, he really wants to create an opportunity to share his presentation, but before the actual one on June 16th. So this is a great opportunity to give him honest feedback, just check it out, see what it's like, because we're already here anyway. So that'll be at 12:45 today, and I believe it'll be in the cafe over here. All right. And we have a special announcement. Shirley Chimes, as we know, is recently been appointed as the sub-regional coordinator for our Women's Federation for World Peace. So let's give her a round of applause. So our sub-region is quite large, actually. You know, this includes, Oklahoma and Kansas and, maybe not Kansas, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Wyoming. So she's going to be kind of the coordinator for all the representatives in those states. So big responsibility. Also, June 18th, 10 a.m. If you're able to come, it's the grand opening of the park. As you see, this huge park going up behind us. It'll be the grand opening of the phase 1, which is, the tower and all the equipment and everything. But it'll also be the groundbreaking of phase 2. And as you can see here, phase 2, they're going to build further down the park. It's going to be a equipment rental kiosk, skate park, track and field, basketball court, hopefully even, before, I don't know, this might have changed, but before they were even talking about fruit orchards and movies and ice skating and bands. So I don't know how much of that will pan out, but it's pretty amazing. I honestly, it kind of blows you away that it's all happening. So they're starting to clean up now, so it's really almost ready. Just another week, a little over a week. So yeah, anyway, if you can come, it's at 10 a.m. It's a Monday, and the mayor will be there and probably the media, so it'll be crazy. Also, one of our church's holy days that we celebrate every year is the Day of All Things. And the official Day of All Things is actually this coming Thursday, and we'll send an email out about that. But we thought with the grand opening of the park, it's a good opportunity to celebrate in nature, kind of nature. And so that Sunday, June 24th, we'll celebrate the day with a time out in the park, so you can come to church. Then after church, we can play out in the park. This will be the first Sunday that the park will be open. So for many of you, it'll be the first time to actually be able to use it and enjoy it. And then at 4:30, we'll have a potluck dinner together. And it's pretty informal. If you can bring something that doesn't need to be cooked, that's probably better, because you'll be here all day. So it could be chips, could be drinks, could be some kind of snack or something other simple. Then that'll be at 4:30, and we'll provide the main thing, the main dish, whether that's burgers or haven't decided yet. So that'll be a lot of fun. So please, if you can come and enjoy that with us, it will be really wonderful. June 24th. And then my wife is going to give a plug. As you know, the Energize Marriage Retreat, Couples Retreat, is coming up June 29th to July 1st, and she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope all of you have heard of this, and if you haven't yet, don't worry, it's not too late. We still have some space for our Energized Couples Retreat. It's going to be up at Snow Mountain Ranch from June 29th to July 1st. And although the early bird registration has finished, the scholarships are still available. So when you go online and to register, you can apply for 25% scholarship, 50% scholarship, and an additional 25% scholarship from our community. So the opportunity to be able to spend a couple solid days with the most important person in your life and to create great memories, and also to build your foundation stronger, is just fantastic. And that you can do this for as little, if you take advantage of all our scholarships, you could take it's like as little as $150. So, and this won't be happening every year. They go all around the country. This is the first time we're doing it in Colorado. So if you're kind of on the fence and thinking, oh, maybe I could squeeze it in, or maybe I could find an extra few dollars to put towards this, please still do it. Give Mike or myself a call, and we'll get you a room. It's going to be fantastic. So if you have any questions, just ask. But if you're on the fence, just jump and do it. It's going to be really great. Thanks.
Thank you. And honestly, this wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't for her. She did a lot of work. All right. And lastly, next week, the Galame family is cooking lunch for everybody. So let's give them a round of applause. And then also today, the Ujiri family is cooking. So don't forget to thank them when you go down there. So that's all the announcements we have for today.